Enter my realm.
Ladies and gentlemen, they've finally done it. Blizzard has officially announced the Burning Crusade Classic, and it's set to release later on in 2021. This gives us plenty of time to formulate strategies for leveling that will put us ahead of the curve. This video is going to have two different paths for you as far as leveling goes. There's going to be a super sweaty, theory-crafted build that will get you to level 70 as quick as possible while being efficient. And then there's going to be a more casual, yet still put yourself ahead of the pace leveling guide as well. Now, before we get started, I'm going to link my latest video on things you can be doing now before Burning Crusade gets released, so you can get a jump start in experience before the Dark Portal officially opens.
Your foolishness has brought you to this end.
Just want to preface, take everything you hear in this video with a grain of salt, because there is plenty of time up until release for Blizzard to potentially change the things the way they were and kind of craft them to how they want them to be. Say, for example, limiting dungeons still to 30 per day. That could totally change the way that this guide has you level. So to start off, whether you're going to be a sweaty tryhard player who wants to clear Karazhan within the first week of release, or if you want to be a casual player and just go about reliving that nostalgia that you had when Burning Crusade originally came out, both parties are going to be starting in Hellfire Peninsula. Ideally, you want to be around 60.5 to almost even 61 before you even go through the Dark Portal. Now for Alliance as well as Horde, a lot of them are probably going to be rushing for that first city in Hellfire Peninsula, whether it be Honor Hold or Thrallmar. However, that is not what we're going to do for the super sweaty build. If Blizzard has not nerfed or changed the dungeon meta, we're going to be heading straight for Hellfire Citadel and spamming Hellfire Ramparts as well as Blood Furnace. The reasoning behind rushing the dungeons early on is because we want to maximize the amount of reputation that we can gain from the mobs inside. A couple of reasons why this is beneficial to us is because, one, it gets us ahead of the reputation curve that we need for the heroic attunement as well as the long Karazhan chain attunement. And then the other reasoning is just because you are not in that crowded starting zone with the rest of your server, potentially avoiding crashes, because if I'm remembering right, an instance has its own server compared to a zone. So if the zone crashes and you're, say, in Hellfire Ramparts, you actually have a chance at still playing the game while everyone else might be disconnected. By this point, ideally you should be about 62. You could either choose to keep grinding and hit level 62, or you could immediately move on to the next zone, Zangarmarsh. And similar to what we just did, you're going to go straight into the dungeons in Coilfang Reservoir. You're going to be spamming the Underbog as well as slave pens and get your rep up to 59.99 out of 6,000, just like you did with Thrallmar. From this point, you have two options as to what you can do with the build. You can either go back to Hellfire and complete all of the old quests before you become too high of a level for them, and then continue on to Zangarmarsh and do the same. Cool thing about doing this is it gives you Thrallmar as well as Cenarian Expedition reputation, so you can actually go into Honored and start working your way up to Revered. Or you can simply go straight to the next dungeon in Manatunes. You'll want to be at least level 63, potentially 64 before entering Manatombs. And you guessed that right. We'll be farming Manatombs up until 65. When we finally hit level 65, we get to actually enjoy some of Outland's contents outside of dungeons. We'll be heading to Nagrand and doing the entire Nestingwary kill quest chain, where you just basically kill a whole bunch of mobs pretty nearby. It's pretty easy, just a tank and spinning kind of questline. And then we'll be going straight to Ring of Blood, where we will do another tank and spank questline, but you will need a party to do this questline because it is pretty difficult to do. Once both the Nestingwary as well as Ring of Blood quest chains are completed, we'll actually head back to dungeoning except this time we'll be doing Sethekk Halls from 65 to 67. Once done with Sethekk Halls all the way through 67, we'll want to start the Shadow Labyrinths grind and take that up until 68. Once we finally hit level 68, we can start the Long Karazhan quest chain to get attuned to the first raid of TBC. We'll want to do the entire quest chain up to Shadow Labs, and then we'll do Shadow Labyrinth one last time to complete that part of the quest chain, and then we'll go over to Steam Vaults and bang out 68 to 70. So all of this is said and done, you're finally 70. What do you do now? Do you start grinding for your epic flying mount? Do you start grinding moats on the elemental plateau? Do you level up your professions to 375? No, of course you're not going to do any of that. You're going to go start leveling all of your alts because we're all degens and we have 10 characters on every realm. However, we probably don't want to go as degen as we did with the Super Sweaty guide, so this portion of the video will be for those who are not interested in wanting to blow their brains out and actually potentially enjoy leveling in Outlands. So if you're like me and you have several accounts and you have several characters on those accounts that need to get to level 70, you're probably going to want to try to do them at the same time. So ideally for me, if it is viable and I don't want to go the sweaty guide route, then we have the casual route while still being efficient. So with that being said, we are once again going to skip a good portion of the starting zone of Hellfire Peninsula. So for me, I'm personally going to be running as a Horde member straight to Falcon Watch because I don't want to deal with the First City shenanigans of Hellfire Peninsula. There's going to be so many Horde and Alliance there fighting over scrap metal in the middle of Hellfire, and it's just going to be a bloodbath because I play on a PvP server full of sweaty people. So ideally I'm going to be multi-boxing a couple of accounts and just trying to pick up whatever quests I can on the western part of Hellfire, and then as soon as I can I'm going to dip straight to Zangarmarsh. So more than likely I will be hopefully level 61, maybe 62 by the time we enter Zangarmarsh. I'll bang out the entire zone, we'll do the quests, and then I'll move on to Terokkar Forest. Same thing, do all the quests there, do the dungeons, and then move on to Nagrand. Do the entire zone of Nagrand because that is my favorite zone of all time, and the quests are perfect there. And then ideally, you'll be around 67, 68, and I could either start the Karazhan quest chain on those alts, or I could just go to Netherstorm and bang out the rest of the levels there. More than likely, I will probably start off with that sweaty build and try to get to 70 as quick as possible. And then once we have that first 70 in the books, I'll probably start doing that casual route where, you know, you have that nostalgia feel and you're able to actually experience all the zones. If you like the video or have any other ideas of future TBC video content that you want to see, definitely feel free to leave comments down below and let me know. I will always be looking forward to improving my editing because this type of video is definitely something out of my league, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, so definitely be on the lookout for more.